What's going on here? Who are you? Greetings, Mr. X, formerly known as Twitter. I have come here to eliminate you, so that all of culture may flourish. You imbecile. I am immortal. How could you kill me? That's where you're wrong, Mr. X, formerly known as Twitter. I have discovered your weakness through meticulous means. I have here on this TB Nagatoro-san and Uzaki-chan played on a loop infinitely. You bastard! You wouldn't dare! I do hope you enjoy, Mr. X, formerly known as Twitter. No, stop! No! Welcome to another episode of my Culture Corner, Spooky Edition. Totally not fashionably late for Spooky Month. As you can see, I'm dressed for the occasion, cosplaying as the terror that haunts the terminally online. For the topic this time, it's zombie survival erogaze. Fitting theme, isn't it? So, my cultural people, let's embark on this thrilling and heart-pumping adventure for all kinds of reasons. Zombies, classic monsters of horror pop culture. Of course, that includes video games, from the classic Resident Evil series to the critically acclaimed online shooter Left 4 Dead. You can almost see a zombie survival game on any online game stores, to the point where it's oversaturated even. Of course, with many good apples, there's also the bad apples. So I thought to make the topic of this video about erogaze that features zombies. Halloween might have passed, but the spooky still lingers, I say. Now I have procured a select 4 of erogaze that features said theme. Let's dive into the first of them, shall we? Fair warning, I'm totally gonna butcher this name. Seahata's Bad Day, a 2D scrolling horror survival game by Joshin Game. You play as the titular character, Seahata, on the start of a very bad day. Like, holy moly, bad doesn't even begin to describe it. More like Seahata's worst day, am I right? It's a short and okay game with a fairly cheap price of 400 yen at deal site, with only like 3 bosses and 3 weapons. First we have the stick. You know, when it comes to melee weapons, you think anything would be better when it comes to tussling with roided up tank zombies. But this stick is very sharp and apparently very heavy, since one swing of this bad boy takes 30% of her stamina. Yep, there's a stamina system. Can't just spam attacks, buddy. Also, if you get attacked by the monsters with low stamina, her bad day will turn into bad life, or unlife even. And then you have the classic pistola and rifle. Can't be a horror survival without guns, am I right? Like any other survival horrors, preserving your ammo is key, because some of the enemies are very annoying to deal with, particularly the dogs. Seahata walks even slower than a classic Resident Evil character. The game even has tank aim controls where you root yourself whenever you're aiming, helplessly at the mercy of the walking biohazards hell-bent on procreating with our lone schoolgirl. Now speaking of, we have a fine collection of monster fuckers. Emphasis on the fuck part. You got your normal jobber zombies, futanari zombies, various insemination insects, tentacles, slime futanari, plant girl who wants to plant seeds on you, and you know. Finally, the highlight of this game is the game over animations. Just me, these animations are top notch and honestly deserves more than a 400 yen price tag. These animations are live 2D. You heard that right, animated in freaking live 2D. You know, the stuff that VTuber models are animated in. So, if you're looking for a quick fix, look no longer than this game's art animations. Overall, pretty short and fairly challenging game with the highest quality defeat animations. Well, that was the appetizer, ladies and gentlemen. I hope it was to your taste. In my opinion, it was not bad day. Now, moving on to the next game of this 4-part meal. Phobias, the irrational fear of things, situations, or even animals. One of the most well-known ones are trypophobia. Everyone has it. Now, boom. Now you also have it. There's even a phobia of flowers called Anthophobia. It also happens to be the name of the next game. You all heard of the legendary quote, "Go touch grass." Well, in this game, grass touches you. Very inappropriately, might I add. I'll let other me handle the rest. Anthophobia, the second side-scrolling horror survival of the list. Developed by Terrarium, made out of Sour Jelly, the artist, and FJLM, the programmer. One thing that's different from Seihata to this game is how much of a censoring nightmare this game is. Every enemy has their sons hanging out in the open, and even in the background, I have to deal with them, lest I get a visit from John Aldo. Anywho, this game probably has my favorite story out of all the games. The world has been overrun and entered apocalyptic mode. Again, the reason being, zombies. Gee, what a surprise. Now what's different about these ones? They're eco-friendly. I guess this game's world is ruled by hipsters. You could say these zombies are both all bark and all bite. Suffice to say, Mother Nature has finally come to cash in for all the things we have done to her. tenfold might I add. You play as the lovely green-haired protagonist who has one sole goal: survive. With her home apartment running out of supplies, she sets out in search for a new home to take root in. Get it? Take root? Yeah, I'll stop. And hopefully not become a fertile fertilizer for our green friends. Of course, doing this while the night is still young. Now hold on a minute, Uncle Ko. Isn't it more dangerous to travel at night? Actually, since these are plant zombies, they actually get more stronger in daytime. Solar power. The best part of this game's lore is the side stories and the collectibles or records. One of my favorite side stories is one certain star-crossed lover's relationship of being reunited in their plant life, or the tragic life of a big sister taking care of orphans in a science facility. I just got so fascinated with the game's world during my playtime. Moving on to gameplay, it's pretty much like Sayata, with the difference being you're more mobile and only have one gun, Molotov, and your kicks that does 0 damage. There's also clothing damage. Guess what happens if you're naked and get touched by them? One mechanic in the game is stripping yourself to heal your HP in exchange for having lesser defense. The atmosphere of the game gives off the air of a proper horror game. The game can also test your gaming skills depending on the difficulty you're playing. Sometimes it can be easy, and other times the game downright doesn't want you to play. Each stage has different situations, from running away from a giant finger monster, to playing tower defense, to defending a giant mama. You even have diverging paths later on in the game with a total of 7 stages to play with. Now you also have neat bosses, from finger monsters that'll make Elden Ring jealous, Kamen Rider plant boss, and big fucking tree. Now of course you got game over screens. You only get the still image for the actual game over screen, but the game has some of the finest erotic pixel animation I ever done see so far. Sour Jalen made a masterwork of cultured goodness in this game, from the usual zombie capture to being used as a seed for eternity, and you even have a Yuri scene with a cute plant girl. Overall, fantastic game with great monster designs, great lore, very erotic pixel art, and a decent amount of content with challenging stuff. You know, I wonder if this game has this hidden message that no matter what humanity does, Mother Nature will inevitably claim what is rightfully hers in the end. So yeah. Wow, that got philosophical suddenly. It's a foreign game, man. Don't think too hard about it. Anywho, moving on. You know what my favorite zombie game is? Left 4 Dead. So many good hours spent on playing that game. I remember the days Yonko going to the internet cafe after school, blasting zombie ass. Now we have the spiritual successor of Left 4 Dead. No, not you. Come on, can you please leave? Come on, go on, get. Unbelievable, man. Ah, there we go. Seed of the Dead, Sweet Home. I'll let other me handle the rest. Seed of the Dead Sweet Home, developed by Team Krama, a first-person shooter similar to Left 4 Dead and the true spiritual successor. This game is actually a sequel to Seed of the Dead. I'm gonna cover Sweet Home since it's basically the same-ish with more neat stuff added. The premise of the story is, it takes place after the first game where the world is slowly healing after the previous protagonists and heroines develop the cure for the Z virus. The 3 heroines from the previous game have settled in their settlement, their sweet home if you will, named Hometown. Very unique name right there. A sudden mysterious event where Z activity has spiked made them set out for an investigation. You have 4 lovely heroines as your teammates and harem candidates. Hikari Kondo, the tomboyish athlete of the group and leader of the hometown community. Bright, cheery, and generally a lucky-go-round person. She's my least favorite of the 4, but she's still cute. Aya Kagano, the cool, tall, Onesan type of the group. She is the medical expert of the group and overall brains of the operation, but underneath that cool exterior lies a very masochistic bottom personality. She's my second favorite since I'm a sucker for the cool, tall, big sis waifus. Kirara Suzune, the tiny wild Ojo-sama of the bunch. Her wild and defiant attitude belies her backstory of coming from a rich background. Of course, she also has a sadist side to her small shell that you will see in the cultured scenes. She's my favorite out of all the heroines. A Gatling gun wielding balls to the wall Ojo-sama. What's not to love? Also design wise, she got the most drip out of all of them. A big improvement from her first design from the previous game, might I add. And lastly, the new recruit, Ishika Hazuki, the soft-spoken gamer otaku. She speaks quietly except when she's about to roast someone or when she yaps about her beloved video games. Relatable. I like her. Her hoodie is very adorable and I find her to be the most dare out of the 4. Oh, and of course you have the protagonist you play as. Just a fucking guy, complete with the usual hentai protagonist hairstyle. Gameplay wise, you have the standard formula from Left 4 Dead, running and shooting Z's. You get a campaign that has a whopping 8 stages with 2 boss fights. Of course, there's plenty of toys you can choose from the usual variety of guns and grenades. Even has melee weapons such as the katana or He-Man's sword, complete with fireball spell. Then you got the high-tech weaponry such as the Reaper and plasma cannons. Finally, you have the A massager? Zeds quiver at the sight of the mighty massager, especially female ones. Of course, you can give first aid to the herons that also heals you too. The meta of the healing is obviously doing the business with them, apparently because the protagonist's essence has the property of healing. Now you have special Z's that'll give you a challenge, a run for your money. Lurkers are basically the hunters of the game, worm that spawn camps at a corner and sends kamikaze babies away to you. Butcher Witch has an acquired taste for the herons and can take one out of commission if not quickly taken care of. Tehe Pero Man. These names, man. Basically the smoker of this game. Zibaba, the female hunter, she has a tendency of pouncing at the protagonist. Might have been a cougar in her past life. And finally Tintan, the walking behemoth that loves doing wrestling moves. While progressing in the game, you earn points which you can spend on the shop or upgrading your main character's skills. You have a total of 5 slots to equip skills. These skills include more HP, more healing, more damage, and my favorite, changing the default weapon to a revolver, which is the best weapon in the game. You can also upgrade the herons by giving gifts to them and going through intimacy events, which also includes some spicy scenes. There's also minigames like, for example, committing criminal offenses to the herons while peeping at them while they're taking an adult mating. Of course, not everything is peachy in this game. Far from it. The game can be janky as hell, from the models to the gameplay. Just look at how the player character is holding the pistol like he's eating the rubber devil fruit, or Zed spawning underneath the earth that makes the herons look like they're shooting at their schizo ghosts. One thing from all the jankiness though is that I could see the game to be a decent speedrun game that I would do in the future. Finally, we have the spicy content of the game. You have some of the spicy intimacy events with the herons, which includes animation that makes it look like it's made in MMD. They're pretty decent, but not the most bedazzling animation ever. Of course, you also have game over scenes with the monsters. Ah yes, the classic action with monsters. Let's see what kind of... Oh, that's gore. That's gore of my comfort character. Yeah, the zombies actually do zombie things, going for the correct type of meat. The scenes, to say the least, are traumatizing. I wish I could unsee what I have seen, but unfortunate. I think the worst one is a Tintan pounding one of the herons, then wearing them like a glove after they proceed to finally put them in their head as a hat. Just another day of my sanity dwindling, I say. Finally, there's also NTR scenes for each herons. Not for the faint of heart, obviously. Look away, Vanilla Knights. They're actually side quests you do to help cuck the protagonist. That's right, you literally have to help the protagonist cuck himself. Yeah, that's par for the course with NTR stories. Thankfully, the developers are kind enough to give you an option to turn off the Guru and NTR scenes altogether. Hooray for vanilla! Overall, a goofy and janky zombie shooter, but goddamn is it a fun, goofy and janky game, in my opinion. Honestly, I spent a lot of time with Sweet Home that I forgot that it's a hentai game. Now, we move to the last game, Parasite and City. Another 2D side scroller. Okay, 3 of these games are side scrollers, but hear me out. This game is actually the inspiration of the other 3 games, even Seed of the Dead. So let me, or rather, other me, lay down the lore of the legendary game that inspired other eroge developers. Alright, my cultured people, this is the last stretch, so stay with me. Parasite in the City, developed by Pixel Factory. Just like any other zombie thrillers, the world has been overrun, with our lovely blonde protagonist waking up to the nightmarish scene of walking corpses out to get meat and meat. Now, like Anthrophobia, you only have melee, handgun, and a dream of not dying. The game predates both of them, so it's a given it's a bit more bare bones than the other 2. It's less mobile than the other 2, like Just Mio, whenever she jumps, slow-mo activates every time. It is agonizing slow. By itself, it's not bad, but they decided to add sadistic platforming in their non-platforming game. Other than that, the game is fine. You only have 3 stages with a boss at the last one. The zombie types don't have names, so I prepared some for them. You have Jeff, who I think is on the registry. Your lesbian cousin Karen, who keeps saying she doesn't have the hots for you. Michael, your next door neighbor that knows your daily routine for some reason. And finally, legally distinct xenomorphs. Now, while the game is simplistic and short, it was the patience there for horror eroges and erotic pixel art. Of course, the best part of the game is the spicy animations. There's a single animation with a single enemy, but there's also 3-person play for some specific combination of the monster types. Also, they have 2D animated game over animations, the best of both worlds. Overall, a simple and decent game that would lead the revolution of all kinds of degeneracy. Before I wrap this game up, there was actually supposed to be a sequel for this game. There was updates here and there until it came to a screeching halt 10 years ago. Now with their blog website slowly dying of heat dead, it was safe to assume there was never going to be a sequel. Some say they got caught by the men in blue in Korea. Others say they moved on from making eroges. Whatever the case, it is unfortunate we have no one to inherit the spirit of the degeneracy that is Pixel Factory. Wait, that's it. We just have to contact the spirits. Bro, where are all these thunder coming from? We shall contact the spirits. Oh, spirits, who is the person responsible for making the sequel? That's it. That's right, the spirit of culture lives on through this man of justice. An unknown just man, if you will. He took matters in his own hand, seeing as Pixel Factory was MIA. They've been slowly but surely working on the sequel, even running fan box for anyone willing to donate to the cause. Any person that donates can have a beta copy of the game for only 650 yen. The results so far? The game so far are looking very faithful to the original game. He even boosted the assets, if you know what I'm saying. Now, culture can sleep peacefully knowing a just man is protecting it. Well, I think that's about everything. I think it's time to wrap this up. What the hell? What the hell? Oh god, that's X. Formula known as Twitter. He came back from the dead, and he's stronger than ever. What do I do? Go! Puppet Pal, go! Go! I've come to help you! Take this! That gun has a special property of all slice of life animes! I see. I know what I must do now. Back to the pits of Tumblr with you. I did it. I saved culture. I saved the universe.
When I'm gone, you'll be sorry. When I'm gone, you'll be sorry. When I'm gone, you'll be sorry. You'll be sorry when I'm gone.